Okay. So what we'll be looking at today is basically the overall structure of ATX, right? How the examiner assesses us on ATX area and what exactly it consists of. All right. So this is something that I always tell my students. Tax is a tool, right? It's an economic tool. It's itself, it's an economic tool. Why do I call it an economic tool, or why is it called an economic tool? The reason being that this helps the government to run their budgets. All right, this helps the government to basically finance their budget, right? Obviously, to an extent, there is a possibility that the tax that the government is earning, right, probably or could be, in very rare cases, more than what they need to spend, right? But in most cases, it's a percentage of what they need to spend in a particular year, in a fiscal year, right? So tax, obviously, at this stage, you've studied F6, right? Probably 1 or 2 years back, or 2 3 attempts back. But the point is that at this stage, ATX students, all students have a basic idea of what exactly tax is, right? When it comes to the course outline, okay, so that's approximately, I would say, 75% TX, which was your F6, and 25% additional topics, right? But obviously, we'll look at the course in its entirety. It's not like we'll only look at the ATX areas. We look at the course in its entirety, from basics to the ATX areas that were not tested in TX. Okay, and like you see over here, you have the notes. Okay, so these are all the notes that you will have, topic by topic notes. So we'll be studying from the notes only, right? Obviously, there will be some additional information that I will be telling you apart from what's written in the notes. So you would have to note that down. All right. Now,
Sure.
the second thing is the main thing over here is the examination structure, because like I said, ATX student knows, have basic idea what tax exactly is and how it works, right? The examining or the examination structure is what bothers a student. All right, and this is a question that I get a lot, which is it a theory paper or is it a numerical paper, right? The structure of ACCA has now changed. 5 years back, 6 years back, even, you know, I would say 3 to 5 years back, which is not that, it's not long ago, right? The paper, most of it, I would say, used to be numerical, right? I'd say 5 years back, not 3 years back, 5 years back, right? But now, since the entire structure of the ACCA, the entire examining structure of ACCA has changed, right? It's more of theory, right? How? Because obviously, when you try to figure out what law is, right? Obviously, it revolves around numbers, right? But at this stage, at ATX level, you will be a manager dealing with the client, right? Just like in SBR, you're an advisor. Just like in AAA, you're an audit manager, right? So at ATX level, you're probably a tax manager or tax partner in a firm, right? And you will be advising your client. And in order to do that well, you need to know the law, and you need to know the numbers within the law. You need to know the areas through which, or the transactions through which, you can avoid tax. You can help your client avoid tax, which is perfectly all right. It's perfectly legal. Okay. I'm not talking about evade or evasion. I'm talking about avoid. Just basically, you can do that. It's it is sometimes considered unethical, but it's perfectly legal. And there are instances where the lawmakers themselves, for example, in this case, HMRC, right, Her Majesty's Revenues and Customs, they allow you to save tax through certain transactions. All right. It's not like they're giving you the benefit and they don't get anything in return. It's ultimately their motive, right? They have a motive behind it to allow you a certain benefit through certain transactions. Okay. The point is, we need to understand the logic behind which obviously probably this, well, the thing that I'm going to say right now won't make any sense uh, basically at this moment. But when I teach you, you'll get to know that the law itself has some logic behind it. All right. The law itself has some background behind it, has some history behind it. Okay. So the examination structure is basically you'll have two sections, right? Section A and section B. Section A, you'll have two questions. Question one, question two. Question one will be for 35 marks, scenario based. This will be for 25 marks, scenario based, right? And question three and question four. There used to be a time when almost all the papers had a choice in section B, right? All of the professional papers had a choice in section B, right? That's gone for all the papers. It's gone now. Okay. So this is your 60% of the paper, right? Because it's 60 marks and this is 40. No choice. No choice if, because obviously the examination, like I said, the examining structure has changed. If the examiner has eliminated the choice, there's no harm in giving a choice, right? There's no harm in giving three questions and trying to figure out, letting it uh, letting be on the student to choose two, best two out of three, right? But the reason I believe that the examiner has removed this element is because number one, it creates consistency for the examiner to check the paper. That's one. Number two, they expect a student to know everything that has come in the paper, which obviously before the paper for a student is very uncertain. You know, a student never knows what will, or even we don't know what will come in the paper, right? We can, make a guess paper, we can make our guesses, but again, that's just a guess. Okay, we can be, and we have been wrong in the past a lot of times. Okay, so it's not like the questions that I'll tell you, the topics that I'll tell you will be 100% tested. There's a possibility that 20%, 30%, 40%, 60% accuracy I can probably guess the paper, but again, that is something in the past. I don't do that anymore. Reason being, it's, it messes up with the student's mind. Okay, you need to know everything. Okay, have a grip over everything, every area of the syllabus. Okay, now question number one, question number two. This, within the section A, you get tested for ethics, right? Within these two questions, you will, more often than not, you will get mainly three areas, right? These are the favorite areas of an ATX examiner: CGT, IHT, and corporation tax. CGT is basic. CGT and IHT are type of capital taxes, right? Capital gains tax, inheritance tax. Capital gains tax is when you basically dispose of a capital asset, and the gain that you realize, you have to pay tax on that. IHT is when you inherit something. Inheritance comes as a result of a gift. Okay, so it's always a gift. It's never a sale. Okay, so in when you inherit something, the increase of your wealth is something that the HMRC does not like. So they tax it. Okay, so they take a significant chunk, which is 40%, right? On a at a very basic level, I'm telling you, 40% straight away from the increase in wealth that you realize. Okay, So the point is, both CGT and IHT, these are favorite topics plus corporation tax. All right. So group structure, overseas corporation, basic corporation tax, standalone corporation tax, and stuff like this. From question 3 and question 4, you can get any area. They can target any area of the syllabus. Even over here, they can target any area of the syllabus, but history tells us that, the statistics tell us that, the examiner likes to test CGT, IHT together and corporation tax in these areas in section A. All right. So any area of the syllabus could be various direct taxes, for example, employment income, trading income, property income, real estate income, trust income, right? And other indirect taxes, for example, VAT. Okay. So let's say some business, personal company, right? Some close company, right? Some family-based business scenarios. They like to test it, right, for tax planning purpose specifically. Okay, so this is basically what constitutes your examining structure. Now the point is that, like I said, at this level, if you're not good at explaining your understanding of the law plus the numbers that you have presented, you won't pass. Even though ATX has one of the highest passing ratios in the optional papers, right? The point is, you will not pass until unless you have the skill of explaining yourself, be it in numbers, be it through numbers, be it through logic, be it through the understanding of the law, whatever it is. In each and every paper, the examiner has made sure that you're able to if you're not able to explain, you won't pass. Simple as that. Okay, so the context of explanation requires certain words that you will, as a student, play with, right? And those words are basically that you will learn through practice. Okay, so the approach, my approach has always been the same throughout all the papers I teach, right? We'll do a topic and we'll start with F6 areas of the topic. Whatever extensions we have, for example, there are some new topics in ATX which were not tested in TX, and in majority cases there are extensions of topics, right? For example, capital gains tax, there are some additional topics that were not in TX which will now be in ATX. So we'll study those extensions once we study the TX areas. All right. So once we're done with the topic, we'll do the kit practice straight away, and then we'll move on to the next topic. All right. My target is to, because since it's a huge course, okay, ATX is a huge course, right? What I intend to do is 3 regular classes, which I intend to take live, and I'll send you 1 recorded class for the week, because we need at least 4 classes from the very beginning. All right, that's simple. If we want to finish by 22nd Feb, right? So my target is 22nd Feb to finish the course. Once we're done with the course, I'll keep a 3-day revision course. Okay, a 3-day full-fledged revision of not all the topics, because that's impossible, of all the important topics. Importance, and why I'm calling it important topics, does not mean that the other topics are any less important, and it obviously does not mean that all of the topics are equally important. Like I said, CGT, IHT, corporation tax, favorite areas of the examiner. These topics are a bit more important than other topics, but if you want to pass in the 40, if you want to get that 40% in the paper, which is a huge chunk, right? Because you cannot expect yourself to get 60 out of 60 in section A. You will make some mistakes, right? You need to book a provision for that. And if you're booking a provision for that, you need to allocate those marks that you need to pass somewhere else, which is obviously section B, right? So you need to be well aware of the areas that will be tested in section B, which will be all the other areas which are not being tested in section A. Simple as that. All right. So yes. Like I said, each and every area in the syllabus is important. Okay, so topic, kit, and the target is 22nd Feb. All right, more or less 22nd, anywhere between 22nd and 24th, not beyond that. Okay, so that's my target. uh like I said, as soon as you finish the course, including practice, I'll keep a 3 day revision, right? Well, one day, I intend to do basically CGT, IHT on one single day, right? The entire revision, corporation tax, and all other areas of the syllabus, right? Apart from that, like I said, you'll have the notes, all of my notes, right? These are all, obviously, this is not, these are not the entire notes, it's just 2 or 3 chapters, right? From here we'll have all the notes. What we're studying for is the Finance Act 19. This is the last attempt for Finance Act 19. March 2021 is the last attempt for Finance Act 19. This will change in June 2021, right? And we're studying for the fiscal year 1920. Okay. So basically, Finance Act 19 is applicable for fiscal year 1920, right? Fiscal year is essentially the year for which an individual pays tax, right? Fiscal year is the year for which an individual pays tax. In most of the countries, not in most of the countries, in the countries that I know, right? The tax year usually starts from 1st July to 30th June, right? In UK, it's a very unusual tax year. It starts from 6th April of a particular fiscal year, 6th April. So in our case, 2019 to 5th April. Okay. So that's your fiscal year, right? Financial year for companies for which companies pay tax is 1st April to 31st March. All right. So this is the law basically that we'll be studying, right? This law is applicable for our current tax paper in March 21. Papers will become CBE, so we need to know how a CBE paper is tested, right? How to go about in a CBE paper. And this is what I've recommended to all my students from now on. Forget about paper, forget about pen, forget about calculators. If you're not good with Word, you're not good with Excel, make sure that you practice a lot by the time you enter the exam, or by the time you basically go into the exam room, right? If you fail to do that, you know the content, you know the law, you've done all the practice, but your presentation, right? You need to present in the form of or through Excel and Word. And if you don't know the you don't if you don't know how to use the tool through which you'll present your answers, your knowledge, I would say, to the examiner, your knowledge, having that knowledge in your head is of no use to the examiner. Simple as that. All right. So previously the tool was paper and pen, and now it's your Excel and Word. So if you don't know how to use the tools, and you're pretty much overconfident about the knowledge you have regarding ATX, right? It's of no use to the examiner. Ultimately, they'll ask you to come back again and again till the time you have a mix of both the knowledge, and you know how to use the tools to present your knowledge. Okay, because that is the perfect mix if you want to pass with good marks or pass at all. Okay, so that's about it. Our first class will be tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pakistan Standard Time. Okay. um Anything or any questions that you may have, you can ask now.
Right. So far, so good. I understood the approach we're gonna follow, looking forward to our class.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'll see you tomorrow 6 a.m. Pakistan Standard Time.
Sure, I'll be there.
Okay. Okay. Take care.
All right, thank you.